Hi, I'm Darrell Bricker. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Ipsos Public Affairs, arguably the largest polling organization in the world. So we know a little bit about the topic that we're going to be talking about today, which is polling for journalists. What you need to know about those polls that are increasingly crossing your desk. Today, if you're a journalist, you're working on a 24-hour news cycle, you're inundated by information that's coming in. You have to make fast decisions about what's going to be making it into your news broadcast that night or what's going to be making it into your newspaper. And when it comes to polls, sometimes it's pretty hard to tell what's good and what's not. Increasing number of methodologies from people that you may know, people that you may not know. There's some basic questions that you should be asking, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this series. Very basic, no BS, bottom line questions that a journalist should be asking about any poll that comes in, because you know what? You have a right to know. Good survey research is a combination of art and science. I'm going to speak to you in another clip about the science of research, which is really about sampling and weighting. Let's talk a little bit about the art, which is survey questionnaire design, writing a really good question. You're going to want to know what questions respondents were asked on the survey, how they were asked those questions, what words were used. If you don't understand the question that the survey researcher has given you, there's a very good chance that the person who was asked to answer that question didn't understand it either. That's not a good poll. The other thing that you're going to want to know about those surveys is, and their questions, is what kind of scales were people asked to answer? How were they allowed to respond to the survey? Was it pick a number? Was it to say they agree or disagree? Was it an open-ended survey in which they gave us their own words and we coded them afterwards? You're going to want to know that. And then finally, the thing that you're going to want to know is what questions preceded the question that you have in the survey that's in front of you. There's something called the priming effect, which means that as people answer various questions, it has an influence on questions that they answer later. There's a really classic example of this from Yes, Prime Minister that we've attached to this clip. And Bernard and Humphrey are going to show you a good example of how not to do it.
Things don't happen just because Prime Ministers are very keen on them. Neville Chamberlain was very keen on peace.
Yes, he thinks it's a vote winner.
Ah, that's more serious. Sit down. What makes him think that?
Well, the party have had an opinion poll done. It seems all the voters are in favour of bringing back national service.
Well, have another opinion poll done showing the voters are against bringing back national service.
We can't be for it and
Oh, of
against.
course they can, Bernard. Have you ever been surveyed?
Yes, well, not me, actually, my house. Oh, I see what you mean.
Well, Bernard, you know what happens. A nice young lady comes up to you. Obviously, you want to create a good impression. You don't want to look a fool, do you?
No.
No, so she starts asking you some questions. Mr. Woolley, are you worried about the number of young people without jobs?
Yes.
Are you worried about the rise in crime among teenagers?
Yes.
Do you think there's a lack of discipline in our comprehensive schools?
Yes.
Do you think young people welcome some authority and leadership in their lives?
Yes.
Do you think they respond to a challenge?
Yes.
Would you be in favor of reintroducing national service?
Yes. Oh, well, I suppose I might.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Of course you would, Bernard. After all you've told you can't say no to that. So, they don't mention the first 5 questions and they publish the last one.
Is that really what they do?
Well, not the reputable ones, no, but there aren't many of those. So, alternatively, the young lady can get the opposite result.
How?
Mr. Woolley, are you worried about the danger of war?
Yes.
Are you worried about the growth of armaments?
Yes.
Do you think there's a danger in giving young people guns and teaching them how to kill?
Yes.
Do you think it's wrong to force people to take up arms against their will?
Yes.
Would you oppose the reintroduction of national service?
Yes.
There you are, you see, Bernard. The perfect balanced sample.
See what I mean by a priming effect? And see how the way that questions are asked and how they're presented to respondents has an impact on how people respond? I think Humphrey and Bernard did a great job on this. And any poll that you receive, you should be able to answer these questions because you know what? You have a right to know.